How to evaluate danger when you don't know what you're talking about. I'm going to be playing dumb, but I'm not dumb, but I'm going to deliberately leave out the last part of the conversion here. How do we evaluate the danger factor in electronics? This requires that we learn about the subject deeply enough, but only just a little bit, to be able to evaluate potential damage. We don't know that something's dangerous, we know that it could be. Or we ask experts who actually know what they're talking about. Now, I am not an expert in the subject matter we're talking about, but I have done safety evaluations for equipment. Today's subject matter will be Bluetooth wireless earbuds that contain a battery. Have I done the dramatic pause long enough to emphasis added? That have the ability to receive radio signals, emphasis receive a radio signal for the majority of the time it's in use, and also capable of sending a signal from a microphone, so that you can use them with your cell phone to have a conversation. They use an encryption under Bluetooth at a specific set of frequencies. That means they scramble up the data so someone can't eavesdrop from your microphone sounds going into the little earbuds and from you hearing it, unless they get really close and listen to you playing down with the sickness. You know you were. So anyway, let's discuss this first stage. We're talking about frequencies in the 2.4 to 2.5 gigahertz range, approximately. Bluetooth signals, cellular signals, and microwave signals. One of them is an extremely high wattage that would cook you alive because it's cooking things, and the other one is hard to detect beyond 40 feet. I'm talking about what is sent out by the device when you're not using the cell phone, and by the device, the earbuds, when you're listening to audio. Let's go forward. Bluetooth and cellular are not ionizing because of the frequency. And they're not ionizing if they're at high power, because the frequency range is absorbed and deadened by water. Humidity, clouds, water vapor, the water in your cells of your body, all have the effect of making it to where going more than a few millimeters into tissue is a Herculean task. Ergo, the reason your microwave oven doesn't run on 2 AA batteries, it plugs into a freaking socket and consumes the maximum the wall plug is allowed to put out legally in the country you're in. Let's move on. Apple AirPods were released in 2016. They have not been on the market long enough for people to be able to make any claims about health effects, and most of the ones that you saw from 2016 have been discontinued. So unless something's around for around 10 to 20 years, you don't have the ability to notice any effect it has on the population, so you can't confirm it's bad. So that's why they get rid of them all the time. It's not the $200 fucking dollars that they demand from you, so because they won't let you change the battery in the damn things. No. It's because they're trying to avoid a lawsuit because they know it's... I have a bias of some sort here, don't I? Let's move on. How do we evaluate safety considerations? I'd worry about a lithium battery blowing up in my ear canal more than I'd worry about a radio signal that isn't being transmitted, because they receive most of the time. Please don't buy knockoff batteries and try to replace the batteries. That is a real safety issue. Let's talk about total energy capacity versus consumption. There's a case it comes with. It contains almost a 400 milliamp hour battery. That works out to 2 watt hours or 1.3 watt hours, depending on which generation. I'm taking them all and mixing them together here. And that's not the issue, because again, it's not near your head when you're using them most of the time, I'm assuming. You charge it up, and then it charges up your earbuds. But what's the total run time per earbud? Well, it's 5 hours. That's actually able to be found out. I'm looking up the ones that are available. I'm just taking this at the most extreme end of it. So what's the biggest battery any of them have? It's a 0.16 watt-hour battery. Now that translates to that being a 32 milliwatt maximum continuous consumption that they're rated to tolerate. Obviously, with the sound levels going up and down, or it just being sound waves, the energy draw from the battery is going to go up and down. So it's not going to be 32 milliwatts continually. And what's its maximum radio frequency output of energy? 20 milliwatts maximum, peak, by using it as a microphone only and shutting off the sound. Because it's not a free lunch. If it's going 32 milliwatts, that's balls to the wall. It's not going to be able to produce a very efficient signal because nothing's efficient. So it puts out 20 milliwatts of energy. 20 thousandths of a watt of radio frequency signal isn't the same as 1,500 watts. One of these is vastly different than the other. And I'd like to point out that the test also included an error range, which it says that basically they could have just been picking up the noise from just the amplifier circuit in the headphone. It had to be paired with something in the room, so it could have been leakage from, the receiver for the Bluetooth signal test. That's a 2.4 to 2.5 gigahertz Bluetooth, 10 to 20 milliwatt maximum radio frequency test. It was actually 20 maximum. When the mic was used, and the rest of the time is for handshaking, 10 milliwatts or even lower. In fact, much lower, like 1 milliwatt. 20 milliwatts, if you're not aware of it, is approximately enough to light up one white light emitting diode that's high efficiency and run it. So enough light to start up an indicator like on an old tape player. A couple of milliwatts is what it's going to do most of the time. And then at worst output, if you were to convert it somehow directly to an LED light, it'd be bright enough that you could look in the room and be about as dangerous, because the radio signal is, again, of a frequency that's so high it can't go through skin. You were in more danger from the AM/FM radio you might have had when you were younger. That was the little, the Sony one that ran on one battery that was awesome. Inside of it, it has radio frequency equipment as well. It picks up radio signals. It also makes some radio signals in it to phase lock loop the timing for the frequency you're looking at. If you're not aware of it, what that means is it was producing possibly the same amount or more, very likely more, at a lower frequency, which means it would definitively go deeper into the skin and therefore should be of more concern. But no one brings it up because people talk scary stuff on the internet. And if you had these headphones like I have here and plugged it into your little Sony single AA battery, not the AAA, that one sucked, analog dial thing, it had a little synthesizer circuit with a little oscillator in it. And you would be able to pick it up off the headphones, maybe, because it used the headphones as the antenna for FM. FM is a lower frequency than 2.4 gigahertz. TV sets are at a lower frequency than that. The peak frequency they receive is 1 gigahertz or something very close to it. I'm rounding down and rounding up, and I don't care. The point is, they're not comparable. You are in more danger from your AM radio, or God help you, the AM radio station up the road, than you are from a cell phone. But what about 5G? It uses, and then we hear a bunch of stuff, and then when you look it up, it's not there, because you were lied to. By having transceivers, receiver and senders, closer together, you can use lower wattage. This results in a lower wattage exposure. If you're right next to, in the middle of nowhere, a cell phone antenna that's trying to cover more than 1,000-foot radius, it's going to put out a lot more energy. It could be up to 100 watts under extreme conditions, but it's usually about 10 or 15. The point is, it has to reach 1,000 feet or more. Okay? Guess what? If you put them really close together, you don't have to use high wattage. You use lower and lower wattage. What's your exposure way out here, 1,000 feet away? Oh, very low. What about near the antenna? It's putting out 10 or even 100 watts. It's not enough to harm you because that's at the peak over here, but it's still putting out a lot more energy than it needs to. It wastes energy, it wastes materials, it wastes time. By getting things smaller and cheaper and putting them closer together at very low wattage, you have a higher safety value. You can also, I'm not getting cell service. You walk literally 50 feet and you get cell service from the other antenna because it's literally on a telephone pole. It's not more dangerous, it's less dangerous. People who tell you that it's dangerous, I can name off a couple of them, that misidentify capacitors as radio signal emitters when it's a capacitor. Other people mistaking a light detector as a ray gun. Actually, he wasn't making a mistake, he was just fucking lying. These are the pseudo-experts that scream bloody murder and try to terrify you. Meanwhile, for decades, if you're watching this video, some of you may be like this, you've been told there's nothing to worry about here because we say so? No, because you can ask a bunch of college students to test what we say because science is testable. But assertions by some maniac who's claiming a capacitor is somehow a rifle aren't testable because he's lying. It's really hard to test a liar because they just keep lying and they don't want you to double check them. And then they threaten to kill you, and they communicate with you over the internet. For 4 years. Seriously, dude, knock it off. But the point is, no, really, it's been 4 years. Shut the fuck up and stop emailing me. And no, you don't know where I live, and you're not outside my window. And if you were, you'd be Heathcliff. But let's move on. The point is, the total energy capacity of that battery, if it was released in 1 millisecond, like if the battery burned up and exploded, because lithium batteries do that occasionally, is a much higher safety issue than worrying about the 1 or 2 times you use the microphone function. And again, if you're worried about it, buy wired headphones and don't have the problem. Next, if their earphones are in their ears, their biggest danger is walking while stupid and getting hit by a car. And their biggest threat to you is maybe they're driving the car at the time. You're not in danger from other people's activities when it's below 32 milliwatt potential max. No, really, it's 32 milliwatts of energy. There's more energy in someone's big, stupid headphones that he's playing through his analog tape player because he wants to look retro. There's more noise from that, more radio signals probably from it for all you know. And again, the lower the frequency, the higher potential safety issue. And again, it isn't. It's the total wattage. Let's do the dosage. Okay, is it less than a milliwatt? No. Is it less than 50 milliwatts? Yeah. Can you pick up the signal more than 100 feet away? No. Then it's not worth worrying about at 5 feet. It's not able to be harmful because it doesn't have the oomph. Now, we already know it's 32 milliwatt. Okay, convert that 32 milliwatt energy capacity that during that transmit and convert it into total amount of what it would be the equivalent of in smokeless powder to drive a bullet. Okay, now let's talk about the other one, which the battery capacity, which was 0.16 watt hour battery at, let's say, 3 point whatever volts or whatever. What's the energy density of that compared to propellant? A cap gun cap is about as intense as this thing is, max. But a cap gun going off in your ear will make you deaf. The battery blowing up is more dangerous, period, full stop, than anything anybody wants to worry about here. Deflecting fears that are real for ones that are imagined or bullshit, so you can feel empowered or part of a group or politically motivated or just get you up in the morning. I can't fix any of that, but if you're actually really worried about this, don't buy anything with a battery in it because all of the rechargeable batteries are dangerous. And like I said, I use the wired headphones because I don't want to deal with recharging a battery put in by a company that wants me to throw it away. I just won't. And I don't need to. Wire's cheap and I can solder it if it breaks. They won't let me change the battery for that thing. Or you. So you can trust the experts who don't have a reason to lie to you and double check each other and love calling each other out for being wrong, much less lying. Or you can listen to people who quite literally tell you you can't test their words or their claims. You can test this stuff. Anyway, if anybody wants to convert the milliwatt rating or watt hour rating into total amount of TNT to blow your nose, go right ahead. But I'm done with this. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that.